Welcome back to another edition of Financial Friday. Once again, we are joined by KHQA financial expert Jeff Kennedy of the Kennedy Wealth Group. And we're continuing our discussion on how to build a solid financial future. And now we're ready to move to the second level of the pyramid, which we have talked about, Jeff. Now, Jeff, I know it seems that most financial experts say that we need to take care of our basic needs. We need to protect our income before we even worry about doing anything like setting up an emergency fund. Is that basically the way it should go?
Well, an emergency fund is a key building component, key building block to a good financial plan, as you see there. It's kind of second in the pyramid, but it's something you can kind of do simultaneously. It is money that's set aside specifically to help pay the bills for that unforeseen circumstance, a loss of a job, maybe a medical emergency, or if a windstorm blows into town and knocks a tree over on your house. You know, having money like this on hand and liquid, which is key, can help you avoid running up credit card debt perhaps, or tapping into your 401k or IRA or other long-term investments and incurring a penalty there, or perhaps taking a loss if the market's down when you happen to actually need the income.
So how much money should we actually be putting in? I've always heard about 3 to 6 months. Is that valid?
Well, and that is a general guideline. You know, 3 to 6 months of living expenses is kind of the number there. You know, how much you need to keep the lights on and food on the table and the rent and so forth paid. Now, that is, you know, in today's economy, and a lot of people are saying perhaps you should have 9 to even 12 months living expenses on hand, but that depends on your situation. Are you debt free? Are you carrying a lot of debt that you have to manage every month? Also, do you have dual incomes so that your loss of one income wouldn't hurt as much? And what's your cash flow like? Are you have a surplus every month, or are you living paycheck to paycheck? So, you know, how you answer those questions will determine that answer and the advice you get from your advisor, but generally a good rule of thumb is 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, because you definitely don't want to get yourself in a worse hole. Now, interest rates, very low right now. Do you have any recommendations, I should say, as to where we should be putting our money? Right,
that's a common complaint that they
sure.
get these days. But keep in mind, safety and liquidity are the key elements of this type of account. So you're going to use the typical or most common bank or credit union checking or savings accounts, money markets, or even CDs. Now, if you're inclined, you can shop around on the internet and find some internet rates that are a little better. And I've even, in the right circumstances, used a very short duration bond fund that can help you boost the yield there. The key is that it be liquid and segregated from the rest of your savings and investments, because you don't want this to be too accessible, so that when that emergency of not having a big enough big screen TV to watch the big game on becomes
exactly. Yeah, that's not really a valid emergency for an emergency fund. Exactly. Well, it's pretty obvious, though, that we should have an emergency fund, especially when it comes to unexpected situations, not TVs, but real serious unexpected situations. And that kind of leads us into kind of where we're going to be going next week when we look at the pyramid, and that's debt management, right?
That's right. I mean, this is another element that you should be working on as a part of a solid foundation. So we'll talk about how to snowball debt, get rid of that, and help us to catapult into those next layers of actually saving and doing something positive for retirement.
All right, that sounds good. And we want to let everybody know we have been recording and putting all of our interviews with Jeff on our KHQA YouTube page. So please feel free, if you missed any, to go back there and check those out. And we'll be back with more of the show right after this.